Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Here we are doing another Stroke Buddies Stroke Survivor Support Group meeting. And this week we have Karina Hines back. She's a functional nutrition chef, and she did a great presentation 2 weeks ago on inflammation, sugar and inflammation, and brain and gut health. And so she's back again today, going to go over some foods that are anti-inflammatory. So we've had the ones that cause problems. Now we're going to have the ones that are good. If you want, we've got a tight schedule today, so I'm going to just let Karina go. And if you want to know more about her and her background and everything, you can watch the first one. I will put a link to it underneath this video. So, Karina, take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am Karina Hines. I'm just trying to get a full screen happening here. I am Karina Hines. I am a functional nutrition chef. I'm Australian. I'm coming to you today from Portland, Maine. I live in the beautiful Northeast up here. 2 weeks ago, I was here talking to you all about sugar and inflammation. And today we're going to go into gut health, brain health, and some anti-inflammatory foods for that, and foods to sort of support your recovery journey. I'm grateful to be part of this stroke group from a advising point of view. I met Ralph and I met some of your other members through some studies that I've been doing, and was invited in because everybody thought that it might be helpful, some of the information that I have to share with you. And my goal is to sort of focus on foods that will be anti-inflammatory, and today especially for brain health, in the case of a stroke recovery, like your brain health is sort of more paramount than the rest of us, and especially when you're in a recovery mode. So what foods that you can introduce on a daily basis to support that. A little bit about me quickly. I have a website called Botanical Kitchen, and on that is sort of food as medicine focused recipes and therapeutic diets, and most of my ingredients are anti-inflammatory. So today, just to give you an overview, I'm going to talk a little bit about gut brain health, foods that support that. Got a little show and tell of some of the ingredients because maybe not everyone is familiar with some of them that we can talk about. And then I'm going to do a screen share, and I'm just going to go through and show you like some of the recipes and talk through them. That's probably the easiest way to give you a quick idea of like, oh, how can I do this at home and how can I incorporate these foods? And then you also will be able to like see some of the recipes, and you can take a screenshot. I think last time Ralph put some of the links within the stroke survivor buddies group Facebook page. So, and then on this, at the bottom of this YouTube video as well. So all the links to the recipes and the information will be available to you. So gut brain health and inflammation. So inflammation is at the root of all disease and disease states. And the more inflammatory foods that we eat, the more chronic our disease states are. And inflammation affects our gut, it affects our brain, it affects our health, it affects our mood, it affects our joints, our mobility. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And the more inflammatory foods that we eat, like increases like. So like some of the three main categories of inflammatory foods, which is sugar, which we discussed last week. And if you missed 2 weeks ago, if you missed that video, it is on the YouTube channel. And then the other one is dairy. Dairy is inflammatory in the body, and gluten is inflammatory in the body. Processed foods are foods that have got lots of chemicals in them are inflammatory in the body. Fake sugars, aspartame, which I consider to be a chemical, all those sort of different processed foods out of the packets, refined carbohydrates. So, you know, a lot of your white flours and highly processed foods, they are also inflammatory in the body. We also have things like alcohol that creates some inflammation in the body, and trans fats as well. And today we're specifically going to be talking about the brain health. There is a deep connection between our gut health and our brain health. Our immune system, and you know, the role of everything that happens in our body begins with our gut health. So having like really solid gut health is going to really help with your overall general health. And inflammation can occur when we have what's called a leaky gut. So where the blood barrier between our stomach and the rest of our system, things are getting through that, and that is causing inflammation in our body. Certain foods will increase that, again, everything that I just mentioned. And then we have a gut-brain connection through our vagus nerve. So what we eat will affect our mood. It will affect our depression and anxiety can be affected by what we eat. And then also brain fog, the function of our brain. You know, if we're talking about coffee and caffeine and really stimulating food, you know yourself, if you eat something like really stimulating, you know, you can feel it. So that's also affecting our brain. And that sort of leads to show that our blood sugar balance is also affecting our brain and our mood and stability. So some of the things we want to look at of foods and ways that we can really help keep our brain health in order, and then sort of eat for that, is what I'm really going to be talking about today. I'm really going to be talking about the how-to and the things that we can incorporate. A couple of things that we really want to focus on is, you know, hydration. So, you know, drinking enough water every day. I did a nice introduction. Yes, thank you, Ralph. I did a nice introduction at the beginning of the sugar video 2 weeks ago. That was like different things that you can have every morning. We talked about like lemon water, which is very cleansing for your gut. And it's also very hydrating. And that's a great way to start your day. Using something like apple cider vinegar in water is another really great way for like your gut health. So we've got that gut-brain connection. So everything that's going to affect our gut health is also going to help with improving our brain health. So every time we think about what we're eating, it really is affecting. It's the whole body thing, which is the idea of like looking at functional nutrition. We don't look at like this one thing just affects this part of our body. We're looking at everything we're taking in food-wise, and environment toxins wise is affecting our whole overall general health. So some of the foods that we want to concentrate on are things like, you know, some of your essential minerals and vitamins. Magnesium is a big one. Calcium is a big one. Your omega-3 fatty acids, which I'm going to go into in a little bit more detail in a minute. We are also looking at antioxidants, foods that support your immune system. We're also looking at healthy fats. We're also looking at good quality proteins. We're also looking at lots of fruits and vegetables and fibers. So all of these different things are ways that we can really support our general overall health. And that specifically is supporting our brain health and our gut health. One of the big things is omega-3 fatty acids. So our brain has a lot of fat in it. That's part, not the fat that's like an oil, but it's a fatty acid. So our brain needs really good quality fats to function and to thrive. And so if we're not eating enough good quality fats in the sense of omega-3s and omega-6s, but especially omega-3s, then we're not eating for optimal brain health. So that's something that I'm going to talk a little bit about right now. I've got some things over here that I'm just going to sort of bring forward and show you, not assuming that everybody knows what I'm talking about, but like our nuts and seeds, our fatty fish, eggs, you know, avocados, greens, those sort of things are foods that are really high in omega-3s, and we don't make omega-3s in our body. We need to take them in as a nutrient source, and the best way to do that is through food. You can buy supplements, but then you have to consider where the supplements have come from, how they've been made. It's also really expensive. It's like, and the idea of what I do, and we eat every day, so why don't we eat for food as medicine for our brain health? So we're going to like focus on that a little bit today. So I'm going to like show you some of the things that I've got over here that will support your brain that are high in omega-3s. So we have something like flax seeds. Flax seeds have got a lovely oil, omega-3 oil in it. That's something that you don't eat flax seeds whole. What you do with flax seeds is you blend them up. So when you blend them up, they look like this. But I don't, and you can buy them ground, but buying them ground isn't something that I love to do because they have all these lovely fats in it. So they're not very stable. So when you ground them up and then put them in a bag and sell them in the supermarket, you don't know how fresh they are and what the quality of it. And those high quality oils can go rancid really quickly. So I would suggest that you buy the flaxseed whole and then you put them in a blender or a food processor or something like that. A coffee grinder that you haven't got coffee in it, otherwise they'll taste like coffee, but like something like that. And then you grind them up and then they look like this and then you store them in the fridge. So everything that's got high levels of omega-3s and these beautiful healthy oils are better off stored in the fridge long term because you're going to keep them fresher, and you don't want to be eating rancid oils when you're trying to eat food as medicine. So flax seeds is a great way to bring them in, and I'm going to go through some of the recipes. I'm going to go through the ingredients, but then I'm going to go through some of the recipes of ways that you can incorporate these things. So flax seeds is a big one. Chia seeds is another one. These are tiny little black seeds. Again, if you've got room in your fridge to store them, that will be great. If you don't, then, I would choose a flax seed over a chia seed as far as storing it in the fridge. Flax seeds, you don't grind them up. They're just tiny little seeds. And what's cool about flax seeds is they are high in omega-3 fatty acids. They also, when you add water to them, they kind of get like this mucilage, they kind of like expand and thicken up. Like if anyone's ever had a chia pudding, you can see them expand. What that does is a couple of different things. One of them is it's quite cleansing through our digestive system. So as we eat it, it goes through our system and it's quite cleansing. It's quite detoxifying, and it's like it moves through our system and it helps with our elimination. Same with all of these things because they're high in fiber, and we need to be eating a lot of fiber for our elimination because our elimination is how we detoxify. One of the ways, we also detoxify through our skin and through our breath, but those are the only 3 ways that our body really detoxifies. So making sure our elimination is firing, our gut is in good health is also really important for the gut-brain connection, because if you're not detoxifying, then these toxins are staying in your body. So that's something to consider. So chia seeds is great for that. There's also something called hemp seeds, and hemp seeds, you can see them, they're just tiny little seeds. They're also called hemp hearts if you find them. Again, these are another one that I do like to keep in the fridge because they do have some beautiful oils in them that aren't that stable, especially when they're exposed to heat. Hemp seeds are really high in protein, something that you also want to be adding to your diet because protein, having the right amount of protein at every meal does a few different things. One of them is it keeps you feeling satiated and full, so you're not going chasing those sugars and chasing those refined carbohydrates that you were trying not to eat. They also, is a building block. Protein is a building block for all of our muscles and all of our cells. So if we're not eating enough protein, we're not being able to rejuvenate and regenerate and build our muscles, and our brain is like fat and muscle, and there's all of our blood system all through that. So protein is a really important part to add into your diet. You don't always have to get protein through animal products. You can get it through plant products as well. And hemp seeds is one of a really simple way to add that into your diet. You can put it in yogurt, you can put it in your cereal, you can put it in smoothies. We'll go through that in a little bit. So hemp seed. Sunflower seeds is another one that's got some great oils, especially oils for balancing hormones in there. There's also pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are also very high in zinc. So zinc is great for supporting our immune system. It's also great for men's reproductive health and for women's reproductive health, and high in fiber.
Excuse me, what about if you have diverticulitis?
So then I would say it's a great question. What if you have diverticulitis? Some of these seeds can be really irritating to people with diverticulitis.
Yes.
So I would say we put them in the blender and I'll point them into a smoothie and how you can incorporate that.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
But it's a great question. Especially chia seeds, quinoa, like the tiny little seeds are really not great for people with diverticulitis, but something like a flax seed or some of these pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, like if we blend them up, and the hemp seeds, they're great because they're going to be completely smooth and they're going to be blended. So they shouldn't bother you. But that's a case of, everybody's different. We're all individuals. So it's a case of trying small amounts and just testing it out as you're going through, adding some of you new foods into your diet, some of you just different foods into your diet, just, a little bit at a time, see how you feel, and then add it in slowly. Walnuts, nuts have got great amount of oils, good oils in them. Walnuts, especially, this is a walnut oil, so it's like if you're making like salad dressings, you can use olive oil. You would not want to use canola oil. Canola oil is really highly processed and really like the opposite to good for our brain health. It's really not. There's a lot of chemicals in it. I would think if you're going to be using oils for salad dressings and for cooking, you're using your olive oil, you're using a nut oil like this. But again, nut oils are quite unstable. So I like to keep this in the fridge. But walnuts are specifically great for brain health. And if you actually look at a walnut, it actually sort of like looks like a brain. There's something in the herbal medicine world called the doctrine of signatures, where it's like sometimes a plant will give us a hint of what it's useful for. Walnuts is perfect for that because walnuts kind of like look like a little brain. So it's like they are very good for your brain. They're very high in omega-3 fatty acids, which is really supporting for our brain health. You can buy it in an oil form and, use that in salad dressings. I like to keep it in the fridge. And especially for women, men as well, but like women are over 30, especially like 40s and onwards, walnuts is wonderful for helping balance our hormones. And that's all part of how our mood and our depression, our anxiety, it's all connected. So being able to eat foods that also are supporting our hormone health and our immune system health is also ultimately going to be supporting our gut and brain health and our general overall well-being. So walnuts is a great one. There's all the other nuts as well, but walnuts is specifically high. Avocado is a great food to add in. That's a nice fatty food. So these things with all these high fats that are good for you, that go through your system quickly, not like a trans fat or an oil that will sit on your hips. These are good fats, positive fats. And they also make you feel full. So you've got your protein and you've got your fats. Then you're adding your fruit and vegetables into your meal that you're going to get all your fibers, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. You're sort of creating yourself a balanced plate. And if you crowd out your plate with those three things, you're going to take less sugar, less refined carbohydrates. So when you're building a meal, that's a way to do it. Another thing to add would be some fatty fish. So what that means would be something like wild sardines are great. Wild smoked mackerel fillets are great. Wild smoked, salmon is great, or salmon is another one. So these smaller fish, unlike, tuna, which is quite high in mercury, some of the smaller fish are more sustainable for starters. There's much more of them in the ocean. And so we can feel like we're not really messing with the sustainability within the environment so much. And also they don't have the mercury levels, and mercury and heavy metals are really, really not great for our brain health. And so if you're in a recovery mode, especially, but for anybody, but if you're in a recovery mode from a stroke and you've got some brain health issues that you're working through, avoiding foods that are high in chemicals like lead and mercury especially would be really important. So I would swap out your tuna for wild sardines and smoked mackerel, because these are really high in the omega-3 fatty acids and some omega-6s as well. And they're affordable. They're in your supermarket. We'll talk about incorporating them in, but that's something that's a really great food as medicine as well. You're also getting your protein. Some nutrients that are really good is magnesium. Magnesium is a really keystone. This is magnesium glycinate. There's magnesium glycinate and there's magnesium citrate. There's two different magnesiums. So when we are looking at the two different ones, magnesium citrate is something that you would take that helps with your elimination and also helps with your sleep. Magnesium glycinate is a little bit more of helping with the building blocks of your muscles and bone strength, and it's more building. So they are the two of them are a little bit different. So depending on what you need in your world, you can also take both. But magnesium is one of these really important keystones that we used to get, once upon a time, our great grandparents used to get from the foods that we grew, because our soils was much more nutrient rich with minerals. But now, because of how we farm, we don't really have these minerals in our soil anymore, because we use monoagriculture and we pour chemicals into our soil, sadly. So when we don't have enough magnesium in our system and we're not getting it through our food, we're not able to absorb iron, we're not able to absorb calcium, we're not able to absorb some of the other minerals. So you can eat all the calcium you want in the world, but if you don't have enough and vitamin D, if you don't have enough magnesium in your body, you're not absorbing that. So which means it's not, the other way to say that, it's not bioavailable. So magnesium is really key for brain health, for gut health, but just general overall absorption of the nutrients, all the other nutrients that you're taking in. So it's really important and that you have good levels of magnesium. So if you supplement with anything and you don't have magnesium in it, don't assume that it's bioavailable. So you might be taking it in your body, but it doesn't mean your system's absorbing it. And I think the figures, I'm not sure exactly what the figures are, but it's wild. It's really high, that like over 80 or 90% of people don't have enough magnesium in their system. So if you're really focusing on your brain health and you're really wanting to eat all these foods and bring in all these nutrients into your body, one of the things that I would suggest that you supplement with, and please, contact your healthcare practitioner, whoever that is for you, is magnesium. And if you're having enough magnesium, you're able to absorb calcium. And in the case of stroke, there's often bone density issues. You've often got movement issues. We have osteoarthritis and osteoporosis that comes in a lot of the time with this story within our stroke communities and our cardiovascular health communities and our diabetes communities. So I would say the magnesium, the calcium, the vitamin D, those three things are really important. The other thing that's really important is vitamin C. If you're not eating enough vitamin C, then, and I mean, do any of us eat enough vitamin C? It depends how many high vitamin C foods that we have every day. This is I like to buy these things in powder form because I don't want to be eating the gel that's around the capsule. It's actually more affordable and much easier to take. And then you can just put it in a smoothie or put it in a glass of water. You can put your magnesium and your teaspoon, read the label, but on the dosage, but it's just a small amount. Just put it in a glass of water and drink it. It's just a really simple way of adding these really important nutrients in that are going to support your immune, gut, brain health. Okay. At this point, is there any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask if anyone's got any questions. And if not, I will move on to just showing you some of the recipes. Yes, please, Michelle.
So I missed what you said. I was writing down what you said about the magnesium, the one with the V, and I missed what you said about the magnesium citrate. What does that one do?
Yeah, sure. So magnesium, the difference between magnesium citrate and magnesium glycinate, that's what you're wanting to know? Okay, I'll go over that again. Magnesium citrate, we tend to use for helping with sleep. When you go into the supermarket or somewhere and buy it, there's a brand that's called Calm, C-A-L-M, that's got magnesium citrate in it. That's really great for helping with sleep, and it's also really great for helping with getting your digestive system going. So it's great for constipation. And then, if you having magnesium citrate in some water at nighttime before you go to bed, we're going to hit the ground running in the morning. It'll help get your whole elimination system moving, and it'll also help you sleep. That's the role of magnesium citrate. Magnesium glycinate is more about a building block within your system as far as an essential mineral goes. So when we're talking about absorbing calcium and we're talking about absorbing vitamin D and all those other key nutrients, the magnesium that we want to be concentrating on is glycinate. Doesn't mean you shouldn't take citrate. They do two different things. And that's not always clear to people. So I like to make that clear. Is that helpful? You're welcome. Anybody else? Or I will move on to the next section. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share my screen, and I've got some recipes on my website that I'm just going to go through, just sort of show you the ways that you can incorporate some of these ingredients that we've just been speaking about to support your brain health. So I'm just going to share my screen now. This is Botanical Kitchen. This is mine. Can everyone see that? Okay. So this is my website. If you go to this section in recipe categories, this is where you'll find it. There's all sorts of different sections here. Each week I put out something that's called Patch to Plate, which is here, which is a menu plan each week that follows the seasons, anti-inflammatory foods. So at the moment, in the farmer's market, we've got tomatoes, zucchinis, and beans in season. So this is the recipes that we're focusing on this week. And it goes through, as you can see, every different season. So if you're looking for support around what do I eat and focusing on an anti-inflammatory diet and then sort of eating local food, I'm a big advocate for like buying food in the local community, growing food in your garden, because that food's going to be way healthier and have less chemicals in it. So I write a menu and send it out every week that follows the North American growing season. But back to our brain health ingredients. So how to make walnut milk. So we talked about dairy being inflammatory, and it's like, well, how do we replace dairy, and how do we do it in a way that we're not replacing it with something else that comes in a plastic container in the supermarket that another company's added chemicals into it. So walnuts and cashews are really super easy to blend and make into a milk. Something like almonds is a little bit more difficult because you've got to soak them for much longer, and then you've also got to strain them because they have this texture. But walnut milk is delicious. It's creamy. It's very light. You literally can soak the walnuts. I like to soak the seeds, the nuts. You strain them off. You put them in a blender with water, and voila, you have walnut milk. And, we're talking about 1 cup of walnuts, 2 cups of water to soak them in. Then you strain that water off because it's going to take some of the anti-nutrients out of the nuts, and it also softens the nuts. And then you just blend them with 4 cups of water. So if you also look at like the sustainability and the plastics, the chemicals, which you're in control, not in control of that when you buy it, but if you're making it at home, you're not buying plastic. You're not buying any of these other fillers and things that these companies put in. You're actually just walnuts and water, and you've got this beautiful walnut milk. And then you just put it in the fridge, and you can blend it every day if you want, or you can leave it in there for a couple of days. There it is in a jar. I make a hot chocolate with it, which I'll talk about cacao in a minute, being one of those other ingredients that's super high in magnesium. That's really good for us and really great for our brain health. But here's like some of the other nuts that we have available. So walnut milk, really simple for you to make at home with a blender. I have a Vitamix, but there's Ninjas and there's NutriBullets and all sorts of other high-speed blenders on the market at the moment that are all at different prices. For those of you within the group that have limited mobility, a blender is really your best friend because you can't cut things up, you can blend them up. So having that available to you is a great idea. Another way, we talked about using flax seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds. This is a smoothie that you can make with all these things. Blueberries are very high in antioxidants and very high in essential minerals, which is also really important for our brain health and for our immune system. So this is just a really simple recipe. And each of the recipes kind of, not everybody knows what these nuts and seeds look like. So it's sort of a picture to give you an idea of that. And again, throw all the ingredients in the blender, blend it. And, this is a really great way to have something healthy. I have this every morning myself, something healthy that has no refined carbohydrates in it, no sugar in it. It fills you up, and it's sort of like your daily dose of kitchen medicine. Then we also have, speaking of daily dose, this is another daily dose smoothie. So this one specifically has blueberries, banana, mango. You can add any of these other ingredients, including spinach. You can add a super seed mix, which is a mix that I make, that there's a recipe in here in this website somewhere for you. That is all of the nuts and seeds we talked about. I blend them all together, and I blend them so they look like this, which is a sort of a mix that you just put in a jar and put in the fridge. Another way, we talked about eggs being really great for your brain health and protein. And then we talked about smoked salmon. So this is like a really simple smoked salmon breakfast. You've got some radishes, tomatoes, salad greens, smoked salmon, and a poached egg. Great brunch, great lunch, great dinner, really easy, and really nutrient dense. And again, you don't have all these refined carbohydrates that you're having high protein, high brain food that translates to. Mushrooms are amazing for our brain health. There's a particular mushroom called lion's mane. It also looks like a brain, if we were talking about the doctrine of signatures like we were before. And the saying goes, lion's mane is good for your brain. That's a great mushroom, but there's all of the other mushrooms are really nutrient dense as well. And they do have a protein level. So something like some potatoes, some garlic, some mushrooms, throw it, fry it up, throw some kale in it, throw a poached egg on top of it. Pretty simple, really great brain food, really nutrient dense, really high in fiber. So supporting all those parts of our system that we were speaking about earlier. Recipes here, very easy. Another really great recipe, and we haven't talked about this yet, is beans. So your legumes are also really great for our brain health. They also high in protein. So it's a plant-based protein. So if you don't eat animal products, beans and lentils are really great way to introduce a protein. But then they do also have some omega-3s, and they also have a lot of fiber and other nutrients that support our gut and brain health. This is a fun recipe. You can use these mushrooms, or you can use really any mushrooms that you like. But the idea is you mix a marinade up of sort of tomato paste and mustard and a few other things. You mix the mushrooms and the black beans in it, and you throw it in the oven. And then you can make yourself a taco or, a salad. Instead of using a refined taco, you can use lettuce leaves. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're focusing on having a low carb diet, you can just literally serve it up like this, the salad with lettuce leaves. In this case, you can see I've stirred asparagus into it, but you can stir any other vegetables you want. So that's a nice, easy way. If you don't have a lot of knife skills, you don't have a lot of time, cooking's not your favorite thing, mixing all these things together, throwing it in the oven, super easy to create a really great meal. And you can use any mushroom here. We've got button mushrooms, but you can use any mushroom that you like a shiitake, for example. Shiitake mushrooms are really great food as medicine. The Chinese really focus on shiitake mushrooms. You can see here, it's like anti-inflammatory, cellular rejuvenation, immune system support, cancer cell fighting properties, helps lower cholesterol. So something like shiitake mushrooms, which, here you are here. This is how you cut them up on this board. I've added them here into a frittata, which is a very simple potatoes, shiitake mushrooms, got some thyme in there. Thyme has a beautiful flavor, and it's lovely with potatoes and mushrooms. It's also antimicrobial, antibacterial. So, you're using food as medicine here, which is what we're focusing on with every dish. You sort of saute them lightly, add some eggs, and, you have a nutrient dense meal right there for you. Another mushroom would be something, another way to approach using mushrooms. Here we've got mushrooms and sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a lovely superfood, as are the mushrooms. Here we're using it with oyster mushrooms. Again, great brain food. We're adding kale, so we're adding our fiber, we're adding our vitamins and minerals, and we're just doing it in a way that's just really sensible, really easy, really sustainable. And I've got here sweet potatoes and mushrooms, which we're cooking, serving it over steamed broccoli and kale, and then some herbs. And then I've got a tahini sauce. Tahini sauce is made out of sesame seeds. Sesame seeds are really high in calcium. We spoke earlier about calcium being important for our brain health. And if we're taking our enough magnesium, then we're absorbing that calcium. So we don't need to eat dairy to get calcium. All of our cruciferous vegetables, our kale and our broccoli and our Brussels sprouts and all of those greens, spinach, etc., are really high in calcium. So are a lot of our nuts and seeds. And in this case, we have the tahini, which is brown sesame seeds. So this makes a really nice creamy sauce. So you can see this dish, it's got the creamy sauce on top of it, but it's completely anti-inflammatory. We have then something like a white bean and cucumber salad. This is kind of a perfect salad to have right now. So we've got the white beans, we've got cucumbers. In this case, I've got peas that I've cut up really finely, but you can add whatever you want. Green beans, it's green bean season right now. So you could add those in there, or any other greens, peppers, radishes that you like to create this salad. And this salad would be perfect to be a base for your little fatty fish. So this is a great salad if you're like, oh, I'm going to add some sardines to it. I'm going to add some like smoked salmon to it, or I'm going to add, some smoked mackerel or something like that. This is a really great base for adding in other protein. And it's also got a great amount of plant protein in it coming from the beans as well. So, and then, serving it with something really, really, really simple, like a Dijon mustard dressing. That's Dijon mustard and lemon juice. If you want to add oil in it, you can. You don't need to. You can add a little bit of vinegar. You don't need to add oil into all your salad dressings if you don't want to. I sort of the mind of following a bit more of a whole food plant-based diet. And that would mean instead of eating the olive oil, I would eat the olives. So that's really what whole food plant-based means. So you're not really having the refined oils. You're really eating the whole food. So you don't need to put olive oil in your dressings or any oil in your salad dressings. It's nice to, though, if you want. This is a great dressing to use that with. And a great sort of baseline. You can see there's a recipe for it here. There's a garlic tahini one as well. So another great, really simple, few ingredients, food is medicine meal. And then, another idea would be something like this is a balsamic tomato and quinoa salad. So quinoa is this grain. This is a black quinoa and a red quinoa and a white quinoa. The difference between the white, the black, and the red is the darker the color, the higher the amount of antioxidants that are in it. You choose, you can buy it mixed, you can buy it plain. Quinoa is interesting in the sense that it's one of the only plants that has all of the 7 or 9 amino acids that animal products do, that we can't make in our bodies, that we need to eat. And you get a lot of those from animal protein, but if you don't eat animal protein, quinoa is something that's really important to bring into your diet. If you have diverticulitis, quinoa is not your friend. So I would skip the quinoa, but if you do not, then quinoa is a great addition to add into your salads and meals every day. And in this case, I've cooked the quinoa. I've added basically lettuce, tomatoes, got the quinoa mixed in here over a salad. Again, you can add, your little sardines to it, or smoked salmon, or any of the things that you want to it, or you can, eat it just like that. And it's a pretty simple, straightforward recipe using basic ingredients.
Excuse me. Would the quinoa, does that fall under ancient grains?
It does fall under ancient grains, yes.
Well, I didn't know. I don't, I enjoy like taro. I think taro is amazing, man. It's like buttery rice out of the pack.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. Yeah.
It is amazing stuff. And quinoa does fall under an ancient grain. And quinoa is actually from the Andes. From
really?
that Incan era is really originally where it came from.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that. That's great.
yeah, I learned that. You learn something new every day, and then it's a good day, right? So I'm going to sort of stop talking now, and I am going to let everybody who has a question hit me with the questions. Does anybody have a question?
Well, I got something to add. I inoculated some shiitake mushroom logs 20 months ago. And on Sunday, I got my first, a friend of mine who grows them refers to them as a bloom. And so I'll be having shiitake mushrooms tonight, as a matter of fact.
Well, now you've got a recipe for it, Ralph.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully, this friend of mine that got me into it, I helped him learn how to walk again, and he kept giving me like 5 pounds of shiitake mushrooms. Finally, I said, "These are great. I need to be growing them myself."
Yeah,
he said,
they're really a treat. Perfect, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful food as medicine. Shiitake mushrooms, maitake mushrooms, lion's mane. These are all something that we can get in the supermarket these days that are really nutrient dense, really great brain foods, and just really easy to cook. And you can roast them, you can pan fry them, whatever you like. Really, really simple food. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yes, I noticed you didn't mention anything about like wheat germ.
I did not.
Is it wheat germ, like, is that I don't know. I'd like to think it's healthy. Is it good for you? Is it a brain food, or is it something else, or?
It's a good question. I can't speak into the fact that wheat germs are brain food or not. I don't have enough information about wheat germ to be able to say yes or no. What I can say is what wheat germ is and what it's good for. So if we take the grain of wheat that we have and then we crack the shell on the outside of it, which is the hull, and then we have what we have called the seed inside of it, that hull that we crack off is called the germ. It's the germ that surrounds the seed. So that's probably one of the most nutrient-dense parts of the seed, and it's super, super, super high in fiber. So what, in my education level, and again, I'm not speaking to wheat germ and brain health because I'm not clear on that, but wheat germ is lovely for high fiber. So you can also use oat bran and wheat germs. So the thing that we were talking about earlier with wheat is wheat can be inflammatory because of the chemicals that they spray on it. And some people with gluten sensitivities, like wheat germ, wouldn't be the first thing to use, but you could do oat bran, which is a similar thing. But it is a healthy food. It's a whole food. So it is really high in fiber and great for your digestive system.
Well, I guess thank you, because you need to move on to your other.
I do. Does anybody else have any questions or anything they would like to add to that? Was that helpful?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. It's always nice to chat with you all. I enjoy this.
Thank you very much. I was trying to unmute. It wasn't working, but thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's fun.
That was great. A lot of people, you provide a lot of ideas. People tell you, do this, you need to do this or do that or change your diet, but they don't often say, how to do it. Here's some ideas. Here's some suggestions. So
That, you know what, I know that, and that's why I do what I do, because that's the chef in me. It's like, as a chef, I can be like, this is how you do it. Everyone can tell you why and what you need to do, but no one's like, here's the recipe, go eat this. It's like, and so yes, that's why that gets me out of bed every day. And that's why I'm here to be like, okay, you need to change your diet. This is how to do it, or this is how to support your brain health. And I think you can do it. It's not that hard, right? You can go make yourself walnut milk.
no, but you're kind of lost when somebody just says,
Yeah.
you need to do all this. So,
Right.
I'm gonna try that with the walnut milk. I
good.
want. That's awesome.
I didn't know that at
I can't
all.
wait. I can't wait till the next time we get a bunch of walnuts. I'm gonna make some.
Yeah,
walnut
I
milk.
mean, they're great. And the other thing I didn't add in is dark chocolate or cacao. Cacao is like really high in magnesium and really high in iron. And those two things are really good for our brain. And we talked about magnesium for our overall health. So I eat cacao. I have a cacao every day. I don't have sugar in it. I'm pretty hardcore like that.
Pretty hardcore.
I'm a no sugar. I don't eat sugar, like, yeah. So it takes a little while to get used to it, because cacao can be a little bit bitter, but you know, dark chocolate, cacao, it's a good way to.
Quick question, Karina, before you go.
Yes.
After you soak the walnuts, how much water do you add to actually make the milk?
4 cups.
4 cups. Okay. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
you soak the walnuts in 2 cups, and
And
then
then
Strain
pour the
those,
water off.
strain
strain
those
them-
2 cups
And then
away,
add 4 cups of water.
and add 4 cups of fresh water, blend it, and
So-
voila.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I'll make sure to put the links to all of Karina's.
Hey, Rob, I might have to visit you. Where is it? South Carolina or North Carolina?
We want
For the
South
shiitake
Carolina.
mushroom?
We need We'll talk about that in just a sec. I'll put all
Okay.
the links. I'll put the link to to the previous talk, and anything you want to send me, Karina, I'll make sure it's there. I'll put it in those social
Thank
media
you.
as well as on the YouTube. So thank you very much.
Thank you all.
thank you.
And you know, botanicalkitchen.com is where you'll find all those
Right.
recipes.
I'll make sure it's on
I'll
there.
see you in a couple of weeks, maybe.
All
Thank
right.
you so much, Karina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Ciao,
you.
bye.